Now that relics have been in the game for a little while, it's about time we start talking about the most accessible relics. What are the ones that are going to be the best for the majority of players? And a ton of crucial information on this topic. Big shout out to my dude Liam. Thank you so much for this idea. Free to play relics. What do you need? Let's go. Jump right in. What's up guys, MtgJedi here, how you doing today? I am really excited about this topic because I think it applies to everybody. We're going to be focusing on the rare and epic relics that are accessible. We're going to talk about all different things relating to that. I'm going to craft some relics in this video and stick around to the end because I'm going to do something crazy in this video too. I thought about making it its own video, but I'll just leave you with that teaser. Nothing more to be said, so make sure you stick around for the whole thing. I want to talk about relics today because now I think people are finally starting to get some. And I've noticed that some people haven't crafted any relics while I've been doing some takeovers. That needs to change. We need to do some relics, and we need to talk about the most common ones. That's going to be the focus of the video today. I don't think it makes that big of a difference what materials you're using here. I think that if you want to come in here and do 2 epics, 2 legendaries, you can. Oh, yes, sir. Another cat's gaze. We will take that, okay? I think it's really feasible that people will have at least 1 cat's gaze, so I'm going to mention that as well. And if there are any other common legendary ones, that's cool. I don't think basically anybody has mythics. Let's go ahead and do the second one here and see if we can run back to back. Oh, yes, we did. Aspect of Siroth. Okay, wonderful. And then, I don't have enough to do this. Man, that sucks. So close. But anyway, we'll do that. The most important thing, I think, is to save your mythics. Because if you put, like, any other materials in here, your chances go way the heck down. And there's a huge difference in power level between the legendaries and mythics versus the epics and rares. No surprise, that's how the whole rest of the game is, okay? So, let's come in here. We'll start off with those 2 that I just pulled, right? Let's start off with the cat's gaze. Because I think that this is, you know, realistic for everybody to have one for the most part, or most players. Please tell me if I'm wrong. I think I'm going to switch myself to the other side here. Let me know if that viewpoint is good for you. So, the first thing that I want to mention is that the main difference between the different levels of relics is their number of gem slots. And that's more powerful than it seems at first. Like, going from 2 slots to 3 slots is a big deal. Which slots it has is a big deal. Now, if you have mostly rare relics, then you're probably going to have mostly circular gemstones. So, some of these legendary ones, if they have, well, legendary, epic, mythic, whichever, if they have circular slots, those are probably going to be more powerful for you because of the fact that they have those slots and that's the gemstones you have. If you are farming Chimera, and you should be, it does not matter what level you are, you can farm Chimera and get some type of rewards, okay? You can get your circular gemstones from this very first chest. And basically everybody's going to get the mythic at the same time. Like, unless you just started playing, right? But the rates are very, very similar. So, once you are leveling up in Chimera, then you will be getting more gemstones. You could get lucky with your Chimera Clash, but you are not going to get the Clash chest unless you're meeting these crazy minimums. 220 million. which is very, very difficult. I think it's one of the stupidest parts about Chimera and Hydra. So one of the reasons why those circular gemstones are so good is because you will only have circular slots and vice versa. You know, your circular stuff is going to be better. So keep that in mind. You may not have gemstones. You probably will get to a point where you have more relics than gemstones, unless you're using the relics for food, which we will talk about. Because we basically need to think about a lot of the relics as chickens, okay? Because we have hammers, which are going to be chickens, but remember, just like in the champions, like you can use champions as chickens, you can also use the relics as chickens. So when you're going to upgrade, like let's say I wanted to upgrade this one, the effigy, I can use the hammers that I have, whatever these are called. They look like hammers. It's probably not. It's not a hammer. It's rock, huh? The rocks. It looks like a hammer to me. You can use these, or you can use these, which obviously you would never do that. Okay. I think first and foremost, any rares or epics that you want to use eventually will be fine. Eventually, you're going to have all of these rares, multiple copies. So if you want to use them as chickens, go ahead. I don't think that that's a big deal. Eventually, you'll have a lot of relics. But you want to have the relics on your most important champions. I know that seems obvious, but like your arena high-profile champions, starting with live arena, if you're doing it, which you should be, they should get your relics. Number 2, your Chimera team should get relics, and your Hydra teams should get relics. That should be the 3 top priorities, and depending on whether you like arena or whether you like the clan bosses more, that's where your relics should go. Okay. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's start talking about the rare relics. The first thing that you want to look at when you're trying to determine which relic to use is what are the base stats. Because a lot of times these abilities, they're not going to come up every time. Deals 2% more damage if they're under any debuffs. Okay, well, what if I'm not under any debuffs? Then it's not really going to do anything, okay? And the second thing that you want to realize is that, like, if you're looking at the index, you're not going to get all of these stats, right? You're probably going to get some of the first one and maybe some of the second one. The third one, you're not going to be taking these rare relics to level 18. That's insane. That's insane. I doubt you'll even take an epic that high, but this one in particular is very good, so it's possible that you would. You probably still wouldn't. It's going to be almost as good at level 12 or level 16. Well, yeah, probably level 12 if I had to guess. Yeah, 12 would be probably the highest. I would take most of the epics and rares. But when you're looking at the base stats here, this first stat, that's the one that's the most important. So with the rod or the journal or the mask, you're getting HP. And then your second stat does matter, okay? But not as much. That first stat is the most important. And if you want it to go on a damage dealer, your best bet is going to be the Unholy Grail. If you have the Talon, which for me has been very difficult to get, the crit damage is probably better than the attack. But it depends on what your gear is like. The Diadem gives you defense, and then Tempest is going to give you some accuracy along with your HP. The Death Bell is going to give you some accuracy along with a little bit of defense. So, if your main thing with the champion is using their accuracy, then the Death Bell is going to be your best bet. So Armand's fits particularly well here because of the stun, okay? If you had somebody like Mashald, who's in an accuracy build, and he's putting those fears out, that's another great one. You know, any type of these controlling champions would be good with a Death Bell. Vizix, for example, who's provoking, is another good one. But you have to keep in mind here, this is a pentagonal gem, which is hard to come by. So I think that makes it a little bit worse. If you have them, they're great. But if you don't have them, then they're kind of useless. Right now, there is no event rares. Eventually, we will get them. This is going to expand with the next event that they do. And over here, the clan shop, not even going to talk about. It's right now impossible to ever get these. And hopefully Plarium has some type of plan, because otherwise, it's just like, these are impossible. Nobody's ever going to get to this clan level. And then once we're at that level, you're just never going to get these, okay? And I don't think that they're very good anyway, the rare ones at least. So the most common ones are going to be the standard and the chimera that you will be getting. If you have an attack-based damage dealer, your best bet for most of them on the rare level is going to be the Unholy Grail or the Malefic Talon, depending on, as I said, whether you need more attack or whether you need more crit damage. It's at this point in the video, I'm need to put in a random clip to break it up. So enjoy a comedic break briefly.
Once you name it, you start getting attached to it. Now put that thing back where it came from, or so help me!
On that note, it is important to say that you can move your relics around. We get so much of this Starstone resource that it is feasible to move them around. Now, you can't get crazy with it because it's expensive to unequip. But actually, if you could unequip it for free, moving them around would actually be really helpful. And Plarium, moving your relics should count in the free gear removal. That should just be a part of the event. Can you please make that change? All right, so back to our discussion of, no, we don't want the collection. Back to our discussion of the relics. The worst of them is going to be the Mask of Rage. The Mask of Rage, and I guess I want to say the Rod of Blasphemy, although I think having like one Rod of Blasphemy for like, I don't know, your hard dragon team or the Nether Spider, something like that. Like having one Rod of Blasphemy, one or two on specific champions, I think could be very helpful. It's just niche. The Mask of Rage is just so narrow that you basically would never use it. You'll use anything else before this, so unless you really just want some more HP on a champion, or unless you really need a Gemstone ability, which you probably don't, I think that the Mask of Rage is going to be the most common chicken that we're going to use to level up other relics. So, then coming over here to the Chimera group, you're never going to sacrifice a Talon. It's too good. The Diadem is pretty bad, so you can sacrifice them at willy-nilly. But it does have the square gemstones, which although they're harder to get, they're pretty easily attainable. The Tempest is not good. It's just very difficult to use, so you can feel free to use as many of these as you want as chickens. And then the Death Bell, I really like the Death Bell. I like the Death Bell and the Talon. I think they both have very good uses. Just slapping it on somebody for accuracy and defense is great. Even if they don't have these debuffs, it's great. Accuracy and defense. So all of that is pretty important. What questions do you have about rare relics? I think that's most of them. Like, if you have anybody who's healing or boosting turn meter, you should probably be putting a journal on them. Like Deacon. Not for Clan Boss, okay? But for any other area of the game. Lysandra. Who, I was going to say Leorius. No, not Leorius. The mythical one. The mythical lizardman. Lazarius, is difficult. But anyway, yeah, Journal is great on all of those. It actually allows you to run your speeds lower on your champions and be able to bridge that gap much easier. So like on your Arbiter, oh, so good on Arbiter. So good on Arbiter. You're going to get heal and turn meter boost. So like literally, I can't imagine running anything else on Arbiter. I will mention a couple other things, but the Journal's very good on her. Let's jump into some of the epics, because the epics are better, okay? The Golden Elixir is very, very good on your Revivers. It has 2 Gemstone slots, which is powerful. Your Demonic Effigy is also great on Revivers. I like the Effigy on champions that revive themselves. Like Monkey, it's pretty good on, because Monkey will bring himself back. And if he's alive, then he can get that turn meter boost when someone else dies. There are a lot of different things with this Demonic Effigy that are interesting. But just, shorten it to say that if somebody's dying and you're staying alive, this is great, okay? The Gilded Dragonstone, I just find very difficult to use. The nice thing is it's defense, and it gives, defense boost to a defense champion. I don't think there's a lot of defense champions that people use in this game, so I don't think that the Dragonstone is very good, but it's not that it's bad. Like, I've put it on my Marius from time to time, or Harima. You can use it, and it is good, but I don't think it's as good. So if you wanted to use it as a chicken, that would be fine. Coming over here, the Scroll is really good on damage dealers, especially if you have, a Veil champion, right? Like the Cat, Cheshire Cat, or Candrafon, for example. Anybody who's veiling themselves, great with this. Anybody who's in a team with a veil, great with this. But besides that, it has 2 circular spots, and we know those are the most common gemstones, so that's great. And both stats boost your damage dealer, your attack and your crit damage. So I really like the Scroll. I can't see myself ever sacrificing a Scroll just because it's so good. The Orb, I don't really like it. 10% chance to steal 1 random buff when you have to attack, first of all. It can't be resisted, but that's a lot of RNG. It does have 2 circular spots. It does have HP and accuracy. I just don't really like it. The Coronet is one of the best damage dealing relics in the game. It's insanely good if you're placing debuffs. It gives you the attack bonus. It gives you the accuracy bonus. So any champions, Monkey, Toshiro, Leorius, literally anybody who can deal damage and who's placing debuffs, so good. Ragash is not a good example because he's not an attack-based damage dealer. But attack-based damage dealers that also place debuffs, that's the best place for the Coronet, and it's insanely good. A lot of people have been saying the Coronet deals better damage than the event relic, the Cat's Gaze. I have not found that to be true. I mean, maybe it is, but for me, the best accessible damage dealing relic is Cat's Gaze. Get as many as you can during this event, because I don't know that we're ever going to be able to get them again, but it's insanely good, and I think that it is well worth investing in. You're going to ignore more and more of the defense as you level it up. You're going to get more crit damage and more attack. It's insanely good, and obviously you know it's good, but this should be on one of your top performers. For me right now, I'm running it on Teox, who's been like my favorite champion. But it can go on whoever is your best damage dealer. It also has 2 triangle slots, which the triangles provide a lot of powerful damage dealing gems. And so that makes it a really powerful combination. Hatter's Reserve, really hard to use. I mean, it surely is good on He-Man and Rhodos and any champion that's based off HP and attack. But those champions are few and far between. I've used them as chickens a lot of the times, but I want to keep maybe 1 or 2 of them. I don't know. It's just not the best, but like, we're not going to get it again, so it's going to be hard to come by. And last but not least, I want to mention the, the wand, no, not the wand, well, I mean, I guess we could mention the wand. I think the wand is one of the best legendaries because it provides speed and it reflects all of the debuffs. So, like, your important champions that need to be fast, Sifi, Arbiter, Lady Kimmy, whoever it is, right, is great with the Wand of Submission. Aspect of Siroth, dude, it's so freaking good on Rhodos. It's insane. But it's also good on your revivers, too. You know, when you receive fatal damage, reduces it by 50%. It messes with you a little bit, but, like, you don't die. That's the most important thing. You don't die. Like, I don't know very many people who have Mythics. If you have Mythics, they're crazy. You will automatically use them. But, like, Legendaries and Mythics start at a higher star rating, which makes them automatically more powerful. And then again, the more gemstone slots you have on an item, the better. The Gore Crescent, kind of hard to use. The Hand of Uncreation, shout out to some anime here. I think that's pretty cool, like sort of like a Jujutsu Kaisen reference almost. But stealing or removing buffs, stealing, turn meter, increasing skill cooldowns, it reduces the chance by 10%, which is really not 10%. It's really like 6 or 4%. So I don't know that that is that good. To wrap it up and finalize here, we're getting kind of long. You made it to this point in the video, so let's have another comedic break.
Sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, me?
Yes, you. Yes, definitely you. Anyway, so wrapping up the video here. Using your relics is great. It's important and helpful. Matching the stats, thinking about what gemstones are available, all of that is important and helpful. When we're talking about gemstones, I mean, most of the ones that you're going to use is Invigorated. It's the most common one, and it's decent. You might be using this accuracy boosting one. I've never seen this one. For whatever reason, I don't have any of these. And then when you come down, you have some decent triangles and squares. You know, all of these other shapes are fine, but the most common ones that you're going to get are these rare ones. I like the epic ones as well. Foe Killer, super good. Super good, especially in Arena. And like, if you're lucky enough to get some of the higher rarity ones, obviously those are going to be amazing, and just match them up accordingly. But most of the time, I think you're just going to put Invigorated. But maybe we need to make a whole video on gemstones, but for now, we will TLDR that. Okay, so what am I doing? What is this insane thing that you've been waiting the whole video for? Well, let me tell you. Okay, so I've been talking about doing this for a couple weeks now, and I'm just going to pull the trigger because I want to know, number one, and number two, it's a crazy way to finish the video. So I'm going to upgrade this using these 3, the rares and epics, and then I'm going to take my best Cat's Gaze, and I am going to sacrifice all 4 of these to make my first level 16 rank 5 Relic. And if we, before I do that, like if we look at all of my equipped relics, I'm basically like sacrificing the majority of my low level relics to make this happen. And I know that I will just get them back again, but it took an enormous amount of resources and winning tournaments and events in order to be able to do this, as well as being successful in Chimera Clash, all of that stuff. So rank it up. Is that just pure insanity? 555. There we go. There is my first level 15 5-star relic, Cat's Gaze. And then once I get some more Starstone, I'm going to put this on probably a Chimera damage dealer. But right now, it's on Teox, and he just got more of a beast. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.